So let me ask you again, sort of the same question. Is there something fundamentally different about the way we humans can engineer AI and the way that nature or nature's God created the human mind?
Well, certainly they're not the same. But if the question is, say, take medical diagnosis or a robot doing factory work, will the quality of that factory work or that medical diagnosis from the software exceed human capacity? The answer is yes. In time, it will. Now, you'll be missing the wonderful humanness, and humans will still, with their extra time, choose to interact with each other. By and large, consciousness probably won't be there. But anything that's utilitarian, the AI will eventually surpass human capability.
You write near the end of the book that piecing together memories helps me better understand myself. What was the most interesting self-revelation that piecing together memories came?
Well, it's stunning to me how lucky I was with my dad, my mom, the time I was born, that, many times where I'd be exposed and very good software people, adults would guide me on how to improve. Just a number of those things that came together that meant at the end of this book, which is the start of Microsoft, I was in a position to see that software and having the world's best software factory, could make a huge contribution. And so, my amazement, my gratitude, my, reflecting back on friends and family was a very fulfilling exercise that humbled me in terms of all the incredible things I've gotten to experience.
Amazing, gratitude, humbling. Do you think a machine will ever be able to give that feeling?
No, feeling is a intrinsic thing that, we understand. That's like consciousness. It will be able to write words like that, but not experience the real human emotion that I did.
Forget the tech mogul image. In this candid interview, Bill Gates reveals a man grappling with the complexities of our rapidly changing world. He opens up about his personal journey, his evolving understanding of leadership, and his deep concerns about the future of technology and global health. What does a life of innovation teach about being human? Gates challenges our perceptions about foreign aid, revealing the stark reality of its impact versus its perceived cost. He exposes the dangerous myths that fuel apathy and inaction, urging us to reconsider our role in a globalized world. Is our perception of global aid a dangerous illusion? With AI poised to reshape our lives, Gates reflects on its potential and its pitfalls. He highlights the urgent need for ethical regulation, especially in a world where access to technology is far from equal. Will AI be a tool for liberation or a weapon of further division? Gates champions the importance of digital equity, recognizing that technology's benefits must reach the most marginalized communities. He outlines the Gates Foundation's efforts to provide access and opportunity, but also acknowledges the systemic challenges that must be overcome. Can technology be a bridge to equality, or will it deepen the divide? His journey from tech prodigy to global philanthropist offers profound insights. He shares his regrets, his lessons learned, and his unwavering commitment to addressing the world's most pressing challenges. What does it mean to wield power responsibly in a world of profound inequality? This isn't just an interview. It's an invitation to a critical conversation about the future. Gates' insights will challenge you, provoke you, and inspire you to take action. Are you ready to be part of the solution? This video is a must-watch for anyone who cares about the future of our world.
One of the things I love about this new book of yours is you dig deep into your childhood, very reflective, and you even talk about your quirky personality into details when you were young, obsessive in your own mind. And you say, if I'd been born now, I'd probably be diagnosed with on the autism spectrum. A lot of people I write about seem to have those traits and great innovators. Elon Musk and others. To what extent do you think that was actually a superpower for you?
Well, it certainly held me back in terms of my social skills. I was late to develop there. But it was a big asset in terms of taking something I was interested in and being able to put very long hours into it, whether it was math to begin with or software development. You know, I got a lot of feedback, I got a lot of exposure. And so, you know, by the end of this book, even though I'm still quite young, that deep interest made me a software expert.
You call your book Source Code. It's a wonderful title because it's sort of a nice metaphor for the inputs you get as a kid become part of your operating system. Let me ask you about one or two of those inputs. One of them is when your parents bring you to a psychologist, because you're not actually the nicest kid in the family, and the psychologist gives you a simple piece of advice, which is, I think, you're a lucky kid. Tell me how that informed your source code.
Yeah, I was using a lot of my mental energy to sort of plague my parents about the arbitrariness of their rules and feeling like, okay, that was some, great thing that I was able to make things a little hard for them. And the person I spent time with sort of said, no, you have an unfair advantage. It's not going to help you in the long run. They're really on your side. And so that was wonderful that he convinced me to redirect my energy and think of my parents as more positive. And so it worked better after he had flipped my focus.
You have a certain humility in this book, and there's a wonderful thing that Benjamin Franklin said that helps with humility is realizing you've been wrong at times. Tell me what realizations you had growing up that you were wrong about, and it helped you change the way you look at things.
Well, I definitely, when I first started working with other people, I was only good at working with people like myself. I believed in long hours and I was pretty harsh. And so even in these early Microsoft days where I have 20 employees, figuring out, okay, just because you're smart at programming doesn't mean you're good at other things. It doesn't mean you're good at managing programmers. And so constantly saying, oh, there are different types of intelligence and I have to learn how to work with all of those, even though my only natural ability is working with sort of hardcore engineers.
And were there any things that you wanted to make good for people that, like the professor that you told him he was wrong, or others where you say, okay, I got to make it good on these folks?
Yeah, there were a number of people that as I was writing the book, I was sad to hear were no longer alive. Like one of the professors had actually been nicer towards me when I got in trouble than I had realized, and written a lot of very positive things about.
Wait. How did you get in trouble?
Well, I was using the Harvard computers a lot, and there was a question of was the way I was using them, had they agreed to that or not?
You were actually writing code for the first personal computer, right?
Exactly. This basic interpreter, which I put in the public domain, and but they did in the end admonish me for bringing a non-student, Paul Allen, my co-founder, into that computer room, which was actually quite fair. But for a while, it looked like I might really get in trouble, and I didn't realize this professor had very much come to bat for me.
You had a 3-hour dinner with President Trump right after he was elected. And I remember we talked about it a little, and you said you tried to talk him into keeping some of the foreign aid, and all you really got was that he really listened to you and said maybe he'd call you before he made a final decision. Tell me what the upshot is, because he seems to have, along with Elon Musk, pretty much decimated USAID.
Well, I'm hopeful that some significant portion of that can be reversed and preserved. Elon, of all the elimination he's done, 99% of it are these employees of USAID who work overseas in very tough circumstances, and they allow the U.S., in addition to our military power, to get out there and help out with famine and HIV medicines, including this program called PEPFAR. And so I know a lot of those workers. I know that work, a very, very high percentage of it is stuff every taxpayer would be proud of. So there's a little bit of a discussion, that, yeah, Elon, I think, said, okay, we made a mistake, we went overboard. But now, what is the equilibrium? How many of those people can be kept so we can continue to save tens of millions of lives?
How many lives could be lost if they don't rectify this?
Oh, it's definitely in the millions. PEPFAR has kept over 20 million people alive with HIV drugs, started by President Bush and continued on a bipartisan basis, literally up till the day that Elon decided it wasn't a good organization.
It seems almost that it's almost worse than never having done it at all if you put people on HIV and AIDS drugs and then all of a sudden, one day, they disappear.
Yeah, I think whoever was doing these software queries and finding less than 1% of these things that they were kind of, in many cases, incorrectly saying outrageous things about, I don't think they really had the picture of that hero in the field. And so, keeping people alive from HIV, the U.S. Has done a great job. And, even if we have to reduce that sum, an abrupt withdrawal is a terrible thing.
But there's a larger picture, which is I don't think people understand either how much we do in foreign aid or even why we do foreign aid. So leave aside the details. Why should we be giving foreign aid?
Well, most people, when they're asked, think the foreign aid is a big part of the budget, like 5%, and they think it should be more like 2%, when in fact it's actually 1%. There is the uplifting element that if these countries can get out of the poverty trap, then they participate in doing business with the U.S. They have gratitude towards the U.S. So even beyond the moral reason, maintaining stability, reducing illegal immigration, we have something in common that we can help these countries. And now there's a little bit of a, do they favor China over us? And because of this PEPFAR, they've been very much positive towards the United States.
Michael Bloomberg, when the U.S. pulled out of the Paris Accord recently, said, okay, he's going to help make up for it. Is there anything the Gates Foundation can do in this regard?
Well, USAID was giving out over $40 billion a year. And so the Gates Foundation, even as the largest philanthropy, is only about $9 billion a year. There are some really unusual things like medical trials that are being interrupted that, that's actually quite unethical, that we may step up in a very minor way. But there's nothing out there that can replace things like PEPFAR or the President's Malaria Initiative. It's just, these are very tight times for all donors. Other rich countries are more generous than we are as a percentage of their economy. The African countries are very indebted. So, no, if this money goes away, there will be dramatic consequences.
Robert Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, in his book, he accused you and Dr. Tony Fauci of a historic coup d'etat against Western democracy. And all the things from vaccines to COVID to pandemic that you've been interested in, how is this going to affect your ability to do what you've been doing at the Gates Foundation? Well,
the Gates Foundation is going to work with the government. The NIH is the best medical research organization in the world, just like USAID is the best aid organization. And we've done a lot with them. The pipeline of innovations that I got President Trump enthused about, including things like eventually having a gene edit for an HIV cure. And so that'll be under Robert Kennedy. So, I'm going to go meet with him and explain, why.
Has he agreed to meet with you?
I think it's very, very likely that we'll get a meeting late this month. I hope so. I'll be reaching out to him.
I noticed at the inaugurations, I'm sure you did, that all the tech bros are there in the front row. They used to be tech nerds. Now they're invited to the front row of the inauguration. What happened to the tech nerd culture to become so cool and tech bro-like? And what do you make of them all being in government now?
Well, the profit streams of these tech companies are phenomenal. I mean, these are the highest value companies in the world. And of course, the government, whether it's through the software they buy or AI regulation or antitrust, they affect these companies a lot. So, unlike when I naively thought Microsoft didn't need to be in Washington, D.C., and that was a great thing about this country. Now, all those companies have a huge presence. And so, they're playing a for-profit game. I'm no longer in that, but, I can understand why they're being very responsive and trying to connect.
Do you think there's some danger of that type of tech bro mentality coming into the government?
Well, the government needs to be independent, and work on behalf of the taxpayer and the consumer. And, so there's always been a question as big business and government are aligned. It's early days here to see, how it gets managed. Issues like antitrust and government purchasing, AI regulation. So I'd say I find it fascinating. They are kind of competing to get the most attention.
When you came down here to New Orleans a couple of years ago and spoke at Tulane to my students, you talked about OpenAI, ChatGPT had just come along. And you said you were going back and working with the Microsoft teams to embed AI into it. How has that gone? What's going to be the thing we'll see coming out of that?
Well, the last 3 years since the ChatGPT large language model and many excellent competitors have come along, the progress has been pretty amazing. They still can't solve all the problems. They still have reliability issues, but the performance and that reliability is on a track that it's going to be profound how they can increase to first white-collar productivity, and then as the robots get better, all of the economy, including blue-collar as well. And so for me, I advise Microsoft, and then I take that knowledge so that the Gates Foundation can get these technologies to students in the inner city in the U.S. and to the developing countries, particularly in Africa, and not have it be a 20-year delay between usage in the rich world versus a developing world.
You've been an advisor with OpenAI and its relationship with Microsoft. What do you make of Elon Musk's sort of, to me, surprise bid to try to take back OpenAI from Sam Altman and maybe from the ownership stake of Microsoft?
Well, AI is about the most competitive space I've ever seen. Whether it's independent companies like Elon has his XAI, there's Anthropic and many others. Google and Microsoft are the two biggest companies investing not just tens, but literally hundreds of billions. And so, I think some of these maneuvers are, sort of driven by the personal relationships. But overall, I've never seen anything more competitive, which is partly why the progress we're seeing is so rapid.
Way back in 1997, in a previous century, I interviewed you for Time magazine, and I asked you if you thought there was something fundamentally different between the software of computers and the wetware of our carbon-based system and what we call consciousness. And I went back and looked at it, and here's what you told me. You said, I don't think there's anything unique about human intelligence. All the neurons in the brain that make up perceptions and emotions operate in a binary fashion. We can someday replicate that on a machine. That was before you raised 3 kids, you watched them look at your face and recognize it. That was before ChatGPT came along. So let me ask you again, sort of the same question. Is there something fundamentally different about the way we humans can engineer AI and the way that nature or nature's God created the human mind?
Well, certainly they're not the same. But if the question is, say, take medical diagnosis or a robot doing factory work, will the quality of that factory work or that medical diagnosis from the software exceed human capacity? The answer is yes. In time, it will. Now, you'll be missing the wonderful humanness, and humans will still, with their extra time, choose to interact with each other. By and large, consciousness probably won't be there, but anything that's utilitarian, the AI will eventually surpass human capability.
You write near the end of the book that piecing together memories helps me better understand myself. What was the most interesting self-revelation that piecing together memories came?
Well, it's stunning to me how lucky I was with my dad, my mom, the time I was born, that, many times where I'd be exposed and very good software people, adults would guide me on how to improve. Just a number of those things that came together that meant at the end of this book, which is the start of Microsoft, I was in a position to see that software and having the world's best software factory, could make a huge contribution. And so, my amazement, my gratitude, my, reflecting back on friends and family was a very fulfilling exercise that humbled me in terms of all the incredible things I've gotten to experience.
Amazing, gratitude, humbling. Do you think a machine will ever be able to give that feeling?
No, feeling is a intrinsic thing that, we understand. That's like consciousness. It will be able to write words like that, but not experience the real human emotion that I did.
Bill Gates' discourse, beyond a mere recounting of his storied career, presents a meticulously structured exploration of the intricate and often paradoxical relationships between technological advancement, the exigencies of global health, and the evolving dynamics of public policy. He offers a profound understanding of the complex challenges inherent in navigating the turbulent currents of a rapidly transforming world, where innovation and ethical considerations must coalesce to address the pressing needs of humanity. His introspective analysis of his childhood traits, potentially indicative of neurodiversity, highlights the critical importance of recognizing and nurturing diverse cognitive profiles within society. This perspective challenges the conventional, often narrow, definitions of intelligence, underscoring the transformative potential of deep specialization in driving technological innovation. However, it also implicitly raises questions about the societal structures and resources that enable such specialized intellectual pursuits, subtly hinting at the privilege inherent in unfettered access to such opportunities. Gates' candid admission of past shortcomings in collaborative endeavors reveals a profound evolution in his understanding of leadership, moving from a singular, focused vision to a more inclusive and collaborative approach. This acknowledgement of human fallibility underscores the necessity of intellectual humility and the recognition of the value of diverse intelligences. It speaks to the transformative power of self-reflection and the importance of cultivating collaborative environments that actively value and integrate diverse perspectives to achieve more robust and effective outcomes. The discussion surrounding U.S. foreign aid cuts extends beyond mere budgetary considerations, delving into the ethical and practical implications of withdrawing support from critical global health initiatives that often represent the lifeline for vulnerable populations. Gates' emphasis on the tangible impact of programs like PEPFAR underscores the interconnectedness of global health and the potential for devastating consequences when vital support is withdrawn, revealing the imperative for a more nuanced and compassionate approach to international assistance. Gates' correction of the public's misperception regarding the percentage of the U.S. budget allocated to foreign aid exposes the insidious nature of misinformation and its potential to undermine support for crucial international initiatives. It highlights the vulnerability of public discourse to distorted narratives and the critical importance of accurate information dissemination in shaping informed policy decisions. This underscores the need for greater transparency and accountability in public communication to ensure that policy decisions are grounded in factual understanding. The funding challenges disrupting global health initiatives raise profound ethical concerns about the prioritization of resources. In a world facing numerous competing demands, the disruption of medical trials, in particular, highlights the potential for financial constraints to impede scientific progress and compromise the well-being of vulnerable populations, underscoring the need for a more equitable and sustainable approach to funding global health research and development. Gates' discussion of AI's burgeoning influence in business and government underscores the growing power of technology companies in shaping public policy and the critical need for proactive engagement in regulatory processes. His reflection on Microsoft's past naivety regarding political engagement reveals the evolving dynamics of corporate influence and the imperative for greater awareness and responsibility in navigating the complex interplay between technology, business, and government. The potential challenges of AI regulation and antitrust issues highlight the need for robust and independent government oversight to ensure that technological advancements serve the public interest and do not exacerbate existing inequalities. Gates' emphasis on balancing innovation with societal well-being underscores the importance of developing ethical frameworks and regulatory mechanisms that prioritize human values and promote equitable outcomes. The Gates Foundation's efforts to bridge the technology access gap in underprivileged areas and developing countries underscore the importance of digital equity in fostering inclusive economic growth and social development. His focus on providing students with access to technology reflects a commitment to democratizing access to educational resources and empowering marginalized communities to participate fully in the digital economy. The intense competition in the AI sector, with significant investments from companies like Google and Microsoft, highlights the rapid pace of technological innovation and the potential for monopolistic practices to stifle competition and limit access to the benefits of AI. This underscores the need for careful consideration of the ethical and economic implications of AI development and the importance of promoting open innovation and equitable access to AI technologies. His reflection on his life, expressing gratitude for his upbringing and mentorship, underscores the importance of supportive environments and access to opportunities in fostering individual and societal success. This highlights the significance of mentorship and the role of supportive networks in shaping individual trajectories and creating pathways to opportunity for all. His concerns about the impact of funding cuts on global health initiatives highlight the potential consequences of neglecting crucial programs that have a tangible impact on human lives and contribute to global stability. He stresses the importance of prioritizing investments in areas that promote human well-being and foster sustainable development. Gates' advocacy for digital equity underscores the importance of ensuring that technological advancements are accessible to all members of society, particularly those in marginalized communities. He highlights the need for inclusive innovation that empowers individuals and promotes economic opportunity for all. His discussion of AI regulation highlights the challenges of navigating the rapidly evolving technological landscape and the need for proactive measures to ensure that AI serves the public interest and does not exacerbate existing inequalities. He emphasizes the importance of developing ethical frameworks and regulatory mechanisms that prioritize human values and promote social good. The complexities of technological development, global health, and political influence are all explored in Gates' interview, revealing a deep understanding of the intricate relationships between these domains and the challenges of navigating a rapidly changing world. He offers a comprehensive perspective on the interconnectedness of global issues and the imperative for collaborative solutions. The discussion is a powerful reminder of the importance of global cooperation, ethical considerations in technological advancement, and the necessity of continuous learning and adaptation in a world characterized by rapid change and increasing complexity. Ultimately, Gates' reflections offer a compelling vision of a world where innovation and compassion work in tandem to address the most pressing challenges facing humanity, promoting equitable development and fostering a more just and sustainable future for all.